She stood there on the tarmac, surrounded by laughter. Every pilot in the squadron sneered at her jet, scratched, uneven, and half the size of theirs. "Looks like a flying tin can," one of them mocked. But in less than an hour, every single one of them would eat their words. Because what they didn't know was that her tin can wasn't an ordinary jet. It was the Ghosthawk. And what she was about to do would change military history forever. Before we dive into this unbelievable mission, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to her mission diaries, and turn on the bell icon. Because this is one story you'll never forget. It was 0430 hours at the Raven Air Base, the cold wind slicing through the air as the sun hesitated to rise. The base was alive with noise, engines roaring, boots stomping, radios crackling. And right in the center of it all stood Lieutenant Kara Winslow, the youngest female test pilot in the division, and the only one flying a jet that everyone called junk. Her aircraft, the GX-9 prototype, looked nothing like the sleek F-22s and Raptors lined up beside it. It had uneven panels, dull gray paint, and no visible weapon pods. To most eyes, it looked like a project that failed before it even started. But Kara knew better. What she couldn't tell anyone was that this wasn't a regular prototype. It was a stealth hybrid, a one-of-a-kind aircraft that the engineers nicknamed the Ghosthawk. The morning briefing was tense. Commander Briggs stood tall, announcing a classified reconnaissance mission deep beyond the border, a region crawling with enemy radar systems. "We need visual confirmation of enemy convoy movement," he said, glancing at the pilots. "One aircraft will enter hostile airspace undetected. That pilot is Lieutenant Winslow." You could hear the scoffs. "You're sending her? With that piece of scrap? She won't even make it past the first radar sweep." Kara said nothing. She just nodded, saluted, and walked toward her jet. But inside, her heart pounded. This mission wasn't just about proving herself. It was about proving that the Ghosthawk could change air combat forever. The hangar doors opened. Engines whirred to life. As the others watched from a distance, Kara's jet lifted gracefully into the sky, disappearing into the pre-dawn mist. "Good luck, Ghost Girl," Briggs whispered under his breath, the only one who knew the truth. Minutes turned into hours. Kara's jet glided over enemy territory, silent, invisible, a ghost among storms. Her radar screens showed a dozen enemy patrols, but none detected her. She maneuvered past missile grids, weaving through narrow canyons with impossible precision. And then she saw it, a convoy of armored vehicles moving beneath the fog, their insignia confirming what intel had suspected. She took the images, transmitted them, and began her return. Then suddenly, her radar flashed red. 3 enemy interceptors appeared, closing in fast. Impossible, she thought. They can't see me. But they were moving directly toward her coordinates. Her stealth field was flickering. The Ghosthawk's cloaking was failing. "Command, I'm compromised," Kara shouted, pulling into evasive maneuvers. Missiles streaked past her wing. She dived, rolled, and activated emergency stealth protocols. Her fingers danced over controls as alarms screamed in her headset. "Hold it together, baby," she whispered to the jet. "Don't die on me now. One missile locked, then another." Kara fired decoys, twisted the jet at a near-impossible angle, and vanished behind a mountain ridge. Her heart raced. She was running on fumes. But then, in the static of her radio, Commander Briggs' voice cut through. "Ghosthawk, if you can hear me, you've done enough. Get home." She took one last deep breath, turned the jet toward base, and punched through the clouds, leaving the chasing interceptors spinning in confusion. When she landed, there was silence. The same pilots who had laughed at her now stared in disbelief. She had flown 400 miles into hostile airspace, and back, undetected. But the real shock came next, before we reveal what the commander told them. Make sure you hit like, subscribe to her mission diaries, and share this story with someone who believes in proving people wrong. Kara climbed out of the cockpit, drenched in sweat, her flight suit smeared with oil and ash. Every step she took echoed across the hangar, slow, steady, defiant. The other pilots avoided her gaze, ashamed. One of them muttered, "How the hell did she make it back?" Commander Briggs walked up, his expression unreadable. "Lieutenant Winslow," he said. "Report. Mission accomplished, sir. Visuals confirmed, targets verified. Ghosthawk systems partially compromised, but we made it home." Briggs nodded. Then he turned to the group of pilots who had gathered around, trying to mask their curiosity with smirks. "You all laughed at her aircraft," he began, voice sharp. "You called it junk. You said it wouldn't survive 10 minutes in the air. Well, let me educate you." He gestured to the jet behind Kara. "This aircraft, the GX-9 Ghosthawk, is the world's first adaptive stealth interceptor. Built with next-generation plasma shielding and AI-assisted evasion algorithms. Every panel, every scratch, every uneven surface you mocked. They're intentional. They scatter radar waves. This machine isn't just invisible, it's unpredictable." The hangar fell silent. The pilots stared at the Ghosthawk with new eyes. The same jet they had ridiculed now stood as the embodiment of perfection in disguise. Briggs looked at Kara, pride softening his usually hard features. And only one pilot had the courage to fly it, because the others were too busy judging what they didn't understand. Kara exhaled slowly, a quiet smile crossing her lips. "With all due respect, sir," she said softly, "I didn't fly it to prove them wrong. I flew it because I believed in what we were building." Later that evening, when the sun dipped below the horizon, Kara sat by her jet, hand resting on its metal frame. The hangar was quiet except for the soft hum of cooling engines. She thought about every laugh, every whisper, every doubt, and realized something powerful. Sometimes the greatest missions aren't about defeating the enemy. They're about silencing disbelief. When the base's PA crackled with her call sign, "Ghosthawk, mission accomplished," the entire squadron erupted into applause. Even the skeptics saluted her. Commander Briggs walked past, stopping just long enough to say, "The world will know soon. But for now, let the legend of the Ghosthawk stay between us." As the camera pans out, Kara's silhouette stands beside the jet, bathed in golden light. Her face is calm, determined, ready for whatever came next, because this wasn't the end of her story. It was just the beginning of her mission. If you felt inspired by Kara's courage and the Ghosthawk's truth, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to her mission diaries, and join us for more real, emotional, and powerful mission stories from the skies.